explain to others about Jesus Christ? If you cannot explain about our Father, something wrong, right? Why? We are children of God. Today's passage said to us, we are children of God. If you every day you see the Lord, you can everything about Him you can explain to others who my Lord is. First service in there, after her, someone come to me, Pastor, she's better than your sermon. So I invite her. Okay, give her big hands.
For many of you who don't know Josephine and Ed Griffiths, they have been members of Grace Lutheran Church in excess of 35 years. And I would say boldly have been walking with the Lord for that entire time. And Josephine is going to share with us now her testimony of healing, which I want to clarify is not a function of the length of time that you walk with the Lord, but a function of faith and trust. You could be walking with the Lord 35 seconds, and He would heal you in the same way. I hope you get from Josephine's testimony today what I received this morning in the early service, because it's powerful, and she's a little nervous, so we'll warmly encourage her that this is her family, and she's been here for many, many years, and we certainly want to hear the Lord speak through her. So, Josephine.
Thank you.
Give her big hands again.
We have the song ready, so.
Okay, they can play now. Yeah.
Christ for me, a love so deep. I trust in Him complete. There's no greater story told. Christ for me, Christ for me. Christ for me, all else will fail, but Calvary's love grows stronger still than all the words that man has spent. Christ for me, Christ for me. Christ for me, Christ for me. When darkness comes and thunders roll, when guilt and fear soul. I'll stand upon his word and know Christ for me, Christ for me. Oh, bleeding Lamb of Calvary, who gave his life unselfishly for no one else could set me free. Christ for me, Christ for me. And when I take my final breath, I'll take the hand that conquered death and rise to meet him face to face. Christ for me, Christ for me. Oh, bleeding Lamb of Calvary, gave his life unselfishly for no one else could set me free. Christ for me, Christ for me. Oh, bleeding Lamb of Calvary, gave his life unselfishly for no one else could set me free. Christ for me, Christ for no one else could set me free. Christ for me, Christ for me.
Thank you. That song, I have to say, I listened to that song when I was in the car, and the first time it came on, it was like a bolt of lightning again, that Christ is for me, and he has saved me. It's hard to start this. I'm very nervous, sorry. A little over a year ago, I was diagnosed as having anxiety. And but going back before that, I guess some things led up to my anxiety. My mom passed away 5 years ago, and there was a lot of problems with her care just before that, and with family. And also one time, during the last few years, my back completely went out, and I couldn't even get out of bed. And I couldn't even turn in bed. I couldn't do anything. And Eddie would take me to the bathroom before he went to work in the mornings, and which took me from here to the end of just stand here 20 minutes to at least just get to the bathroom to try and walk. It's so painful. And that went on for about 3 days at least, and then he says to me, I think we need to go to the hospital. We think we need to do something. So I agreed, and we called the ambulance, and they took me to the hospital, and I was diagnosed as having arthritis of the spine. So what happened was is that we had gone to a park a day before that, and we had walked quite a bit, I think at least 2 miles, if not more. And I'm not used to walking anyway. I might walk around the block for 15 minutes or something like that, but I guess that just really did a number on my back. And then I had also, after that, I fell and broke my ankle, which is another thing. And I also, another time, fell in the bathtub and bruised up all my ribs. So all these things kind of kept me in the house a lot. I had recuperation, and then after my back problem, I was afraid to even go to the store. So I had a lot of fear. And then we were looking for a home. I guess Eddie was thinking about retiring. And so we were looking around, and we found something in Calverton, and we liked it. And so we took a loan out to pay for that, and when we sold our house, we would pay off the loan. And but not realizing really what an impact that really had, the reality of now we have 2 houses to pay for, and how long will it take to sell the one? And I guess it all just kind of crowded in on me, like a week after the closing, and I just woke up one day and I felt so sick to my stomach, ran into the bathroom, and it just all caved in on me like this big dark cloud, and I couldn't even function. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even get out of bed. It was so awful. And I never knew that anxiety could cause so much, debilitating. And so for a couple of days that went on with me. And, you know, Eddie's trying to deal with me. He's my right-hand man here. So one day he was all ready to go to work, 6:30 in the morning, and I had just gotten up, barely got out of bed. And I felt so weak and so awful. And I said to him, he was just about to go out the door. The bus was already there to pick him up. And I said, I don't think I want you to go to work today. I don't want to be alone. I think I need to go to the hospital. So he just said, okay. So we called an ambulance because I said, I don't think I can even walk down the steps. I just feel so weak. I just can't. And the words are barely coming out of me. And so we went to the hospital, and then the doctors told him what was going on. And he said, well, we got to do an x-ray on your stomach and sonogram, this, that, and the other thing, trying to find out what's wrong with my stomach. And of course, nothing showed up wrong with my stomach, except that I was dehydrated, so they had hooked me up to something, and they had given me something for the nausea. And so when I couldn't find anything, and I looked at a doctor and I said, well, do you think it could be anxiety? I never had anxiety before. I didn't know what it felt like. So he said, well, tell me what's happening in your life. And I told him, he says, well, I think that's what it is, it's anxiety. So then he prescribed Valium for me, sent me home with Valium. And he says, follow up on it with your doctor. So we went home, and I thought, how am I going to get to see the doctor? I'm going to keep feeling like this. How am I going to see the doctor? So my son-in-law is involved with medical things, and so he knows the doctor very well that we go to. So he was able to get me in there that same day. And when I went to see her and explained to her what was going on, I said, I want something. I need to have this nausea just to go away. I just can't function. She said, well, and I wanted something not addictive. So she says, well, I can prescribe something for you, but it doesn't mean your problems are going to be gone away. And of course I knew that, but I just needed to be able to function. I needed to get rid of that nauseous feeling and not, feel so weak, and I couldn't eat, and I couldn't, do anything. So I don't know where I am here. So I guess a couple of days in mind, I was going to call the pastor. I was going to say, if I could just speak with him. And I talked to him, and he came over, and he recommended Lutheran Community Counseling Services, which I have to say were very good as far as cost goes and everything. They said, we are here to help you, and don't worry about anything. We'll work everything out. And they were very, very nice on the phone. So they got me an appointment, and I started seeing the counselor, and I didn't really know what I was even going to talk to the counselor about, because if you were having anxiety, it was not in my control. I felt like I couldn't control it. I'm going to feel anxiety no matter what I do. And it was that lack of control, not being able to do something about it. And I kept praying to the Lord. I just kept saying, thank you, Lord, praise you, Jesus. I don't know why I was praising him and thanking him. I was feeling awful. But for some reason, the Lord was touching me and just telling me just to keep him going in my mind. And I've always read the Bible over the years. Every day, read the Bible and portals of prayer. And, I guess I thought I was being spiritual and filled, but apparently not enough. So when I started the counseling, the counselor brought up some things. We had talked about the problems with my family, with my mother and stuff, and I said, there really was no closure. Nobody's still talking to me. One brother stood by me the whole time, but I still talk to him. He says, the only way you can have closure is if you write a simple saying, you're sorry if there's any hurt feelings, I forgive you, if you could please forgive me. And that's all I put on a little note, and I mailed it out. And, I wasn't in the habit of communicating with them anymore, because if I sent something, it came back in the mail, or if I called, it would just hang up. So I told him, I said, it's probably just going to come back to me, or else I probably won't hear anything. So months went by, I haven't heard anything. I still haven't heard anything. But it was closure for me, and it got me past that. And I just feel, the counselor helped me with some other exercises and some things in writing during the night, what's on your mind and stuff like that, writing it on paper. And he says, once it's written down, it's gone. It's no more, it shouldn't be in your head anymore. And that helped. So through this process, I was still looking for ways to somehow get past this. And then my daughter had mentioned to me something about, I have to backtrack a little bit. I called my daughter one morning. This was like the day after the pills were prescribed for me, and I hadn't really even taken one yet, because I was still a little leery about taking it, but still I was feeling awful. Couldn't get out of bed. I called my daughter. I guess she was probably on her way to work. And 10 minutes later, I hear her come in the door. And she comes in the bedroom, and she says, I know which one is tough now. So she says to me, get out of bed, get dressed, come in the kitchen, and have a cup of tea. And I was like, I can't even get out of bed. I don't have the energy to even talk to you. I said, I just can't. She says, just get out of bed, get dressed, I'm going to make you some tea. And I just kept saying, I just can't. She says, well, if you don't, I'm going to rip the covers off of you, I'm going to drag you out of the bed, I'm going to get you dressed, and you're just going to get up. So I thought, oh my gosh, she's just not going to leave me alone. So I just forced myself I had to force myself to get out of bed, to get dressed. And, I look a mess. It was just an awful time. And I've been through stuff before, but this was the worst I've ever been. Even with my back being out, this was the worst thing that I feel could happen. And through all of this, I just felt, I kept praying, Lord, praise you, Lord, thank you, Lord. And, you know, it did, when I got up and I had a little bit of, I had the tea, tried to force that down because I hadn't eaten anything in days, or drank, well, a little bit of drink in between. And so she said, I have to eat something. So I thought of a Pop-Tart. You just take it out of the package. You don't have to do anything with it. You can just sit there and try to eat it. So I think I ate about a quarter of a Pop-Tart that day. By the end of the day, I think a quarter of it was gone. And it was just like forcing it, like it would roll around in my tongue, one little bite, forever and ever. It took me, and then that went on for a few days. And then when my daughter came over to visit one day, and she says, you know, I heard in Dr. Phil about this thing with the anxiety and depression and stuff that might help. He said some things he was talking about. I said, okay. So she was able to bring it up on the computer, and then it was this guy talking very solemn and very low and very kind of monotoned, and then this circle thing was going around and around and around, like you go into some kind of depth or something. And I thought it's kind of a hypnotic thing. I don't know what it is, but anyway, it said, and I think he said, let this be the last thing that you concentrate on before you go to sleep at night. So I didn't feel comfortable with that. I just wasn't comfortable with the whole idea of the whole thing. It was just kind of bothering me. And I'm praying to the Lord, and I just, one day I was in the kitchen, and this verse came to me, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that verse took me every day. I just prayed that verse every day. And I was just praying to God, and I just knew I needed more scripture. I needed more of the Lord. And I came across 2 books that I had had for who knows how long years. A friend had given me one. And this one here has lots of Bible verses in it. And I felt the Lord had said to me, I had a picture of Christ in our camper, because we didn't really have anything in there that was Christian-like, that I had cut out from a bulletin at Easter time at some church that we were at. And I thought, oh, we probably got rid of it because we took everything out of the camper and we were getting rid of it. We weren't keeping anything from there. Made myself go down to the basement, and I did find a picture, and this is the picture of Christ. I just felt like I needed a visual, like I needed to see him. And this was the closest thing I had. We have crosses and everything in our house, but I needed a visual, and I would look at this picture. Every day I put it on my table next to where I was sitting, where the couch is like down. It was a new couch, but the seat is like down because I've been sitting in it so much, not doing anything, and not getting out, not doing anything. And I just felt like this really brought Christ to life for me. And I knew he was there for me. And during this time, while I was still taking the pills, I was starting to feel a little bit better. Not great, but I knew I was a mess. When I looked a mess, I didn't go anywhere. I didn't do anything. Basically, stayed on the couch most of the day. Prayed a lot, watched TV, old programs. And my other daughter used to come over every morning for a while because she just felt like she needed to be there for me, and I really appreciated that time with her. And my other daughters, they would call every day or stop in the afternoon or whatever. And then during this time, Chris Kelleher's accident happened. And that just really threw me for a loop. My son-in-law had called me to tell me about it. And it just was like, oh, that's got to be awful. She can't do anything now. She's just to stay in bed. She can't change anything. And here I am. I have a body. I can walk around, but I can't. And I'm crippled as well. But I started praying for her. The Lord really laid her on my heart. And I just prayed for her every day. And then when she came home, the Lord said to me, you need to go visit her. And I was like, I still can't. I can't even still really get myself together enough to even get out of the house. But he kept telling me, you got to go visit her. So finally one day I called her up and I said, do you mind if I come over for a visit? And she said, sure, why not? And Chris and I had known each other over the years, and she always had a big smile and a hug. And, every Sunday you come to church, you see her. And I just went over there and she welcomed me, and I know she was feeling really bad, terrible too, also being laid up like that, not being able to get out of bed, not being able to help herself at all. And I didn't really know what I had to offer her. But we did find we had some things in common. We cried, we prayed a little, and we found out, we can play cards, do different games and stuff, and so we started doing that and passing the time like that. Meanwhile, the Lord had given me several verses from this book a friend of mine gave me years ago, even before my mom died. It's still like brand new because I read a couple of verses in it and I put it away in my drawer. And when Ed kept telling me, we have to pack because we're probably going to be moving soon. We're going to sell the house. But hardly anybody was coming to look at the house, so I guess I wasn't even thinking about it. Couldn't even think about the house. I couldn't even think about the house in Calverton. I couldn't think about the house here. And he just kept saying, we need to get rid of stuff. We need to start. So I'd say, yeah, and I didn't really do anything. And he would just start doing stuff. He started doing the attic, started doing the basement, and he basically did everything as far as the move is concerned because I just couldn't get myself together enough to do it. And where was I? And also during this time, when the services were changing in September, October here, from the 9 o'clock, and then we're going to have 10 o'clock, they were taking away a service, and I was really not happy with that. But as it turned out, it was a blessing for me because that's when I got sick, and I was able to watch Dr. Charles Stanley. You probably have heard of him on TV. He's very biblical. And first Sunday I put him on, he was talking about anxiety. And I thought, oh my gosh, he's talking about anxiety. And he talked about all the things that anxiety can do to a person. It takes away basically your life. And then he gives you Bible verses and things like that to help you through that time. And one of the Bible verses was in Philippians 4, 6 and 7. It says, I'm sure you've heard this one before, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Every day I read that still. I read all of this. I said to my husband, this is my whole life in this little bag here. This is my whole life. So everything, if I ever have to pack, this is it. I'm packing life, but that's my whole life. So, and every day I would read this, and I'd always pronounce that word, do not be anxious about anything. So he was telling me, do not be anxious. And it didn't say, try not to be anxious. It says, do not be anxious. And other Bible verses too, I'm just going to read a couple of these. It says, now glory be to God, who by his mighty power at work within us is able to do far more than we would ever dare to ask or even dream of, infinitely beyond our highest prayers, desires, thoughts, or hopes. That's in Ephesians 3:20. I want to read this one. This one I had given my granddaughter. She was very anxious about school starting up, and she was actually having anxiety. So I texted her this verse, but sorry, Emily, I think I left out something here when I was just checking my text. I'm not very good at texting, so I guess she'll see what I left out if I did. May you be able to feel and understand, as all God's children should. I think that's the part I might have left out. How long, how wide, how deep, and how high his love really is, and to experience this love for yourselves. And I just felt that was really a good verse for her. And it was good for me. It is still good for me, because I'm still praying all these verses that have come to me from God, and I feel like he really was speaking to me during that time. I felt him tell me that when you are healed, you will do a testimony. And I was like, oh my gosh, a testimony? I can't get up in front of everybody and do a testimony. That's just not me. It's not who I am. I don't do those things. My husband one gets up in front of people. So I could give it to him and let him do it, but no, you are going to give a testimony. But then the focus was taken off for a minute, and I thought, no, he said when you are healed. He didn't say if you're healed, he said when you are healed. So at that time I knew I was going to be healed, I just didn't know when. He didn't tell me when. So during this time it was Thanksgiving, Christmas, holidays, and everything. And the Lord was still giving me verses. This one is, I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart, and the peace I give isn't like the peace the world gives. So don't be troubled or afraid. There's so many wonderful verses that the Lord had given me. This one is also about, don't be afraid, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my victorious right hand. I mean, to me, they were like very, very strong verses. And I just felt like the Lord was just really telling me that he's in control here, and I will be healed. This one also, you are my hiding place. You will protect me from trouble and surround me with songs of deliverance. And every night before I go to bed, I read these verses. I pray to God, and I read the daily bread. And oh gosh, I lost track again. During the holidays, I said to the counselor, I think it was around the end of November, beginning of December, and I said to him, I think I'm ready to go off the pills. And he says, are you sure the holidays are coming? Maybe you want to wait till after the holidays. And I said, no, I really feel that I want to do it now. He says, okay, you have to call your doctor. You have to get her okay, and you have to, find out how you're going to do this. And then I started thinking about if there's going to be any withdrawal, but I didn't know because I wasn't on them that long. But it got me past that really bad stage of the nausea, and it was just awful. And so I called the doctors, and of course she's away for a few days. And I thought, I can't start now. Then I had to call her back, and I got her, and she explained to me how to do it. And so I started that. She would, I don't know, was it skip a day, take one, or every other day, take a half? I forget how it went, but anyhow. So that takes several weeks. When she told me that's going to take several weeks, I was like, oh my gosh. So I started doing that, and by the end of December, I was off the pills altogether. And I started to see I was functioning okay. I had different things still did happen, and I probably didn't handle it very well, but it never went back to the way I was feeling that October. It was just the most awful feeling. And I could understand anybody now if they were having anxiety. I fully understand that feeling, and it's just, I can't even describe it. It was just so awful. And what happened was one day I had misplaced the keys to the other house. We were getting them all together, and I misplaced them. And I was almost like in hysteria. I called my daughter up, and I said, I lost the keys to the house. What do I do? I can't find them anywhere. She says, I'm sure they're somewhere. You just have misplaced them. It's like, I can't find them. Not at Charlie, they're not in the car, they're not in my bag, they're not anywhere. I can't find them anywhere. I said, I have to go to Calvert and I have to find out if they're there. And then I didn't know how I was going to get in the house. I didn't have the keys. I probably shouldn't tell everybody how I got in the house, but I... But you know, you watch those movies and they have the charge cards and they slid it. So I thought, well, let me just try it. Maybe it'll work. Well, guess what? It worked. So I got in the house. And I felt like I was invading into somebody's house. Anyway, there the keys were on the counter, all the keys together on the counter. And that was just, it's like, you know, I got so crazy about that. But it's a process of being able to, you know, I tried turning it over to the Lord, tried listening to the music, and I was just like very nervous about it. And I thought, Lord, I guess it will work out all right, no matter what. And somehow we'll get new locks, whatever we have to do. But anyhow, that did work out fine. But the Lord also, He showed me His mercies in so many areas, even while we were waiting for the house to be sold. Of course, the house didn't sell till the following, 11 months we had it up for sale. And one day I'm in my living room, the sun is shining in, and I see this cross on the ceiling, and I'm like, wow, where did that come from? And it was right across, full across the ceiling. And I'm trying to figure out how it even got there. And I realized the Lord is trying to tell me I got this covered. And it's just like every day after that, between 3:30 and 4, I was waiting for the sun to shine and have the cross on my ceiling, which it did happen when the sun was out every day. And all the years we've lived at that house, I've never seen that before. And it was like Him just telling me He's got everything covered. And, you know, He kept sending me Bible verses. Oops, now I lost that one. And a Bible verse that we did this morning, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah. And all of these verses, they mean everything to me. And I intend to keep praying all of these. I'm sure the verses will probably change from time to time, but they really touched me and helped me. And I know the Lord was sending them to me to help me through that difficult time. And I know He has healed me. And it was just, you know, when I thought about the testimony again, I thought, oh my gosh, I still have that testimony. And Lord, you know, I was suffering from anxiety. What's gonna happen? So the Lord has really given me a lot of peace this week. And He has been giving me peace every day. Every day I pray for His peace. And if I don't pray for His peace in the morning before my day even starts, I don't have peace. So I pray for His peace, and He showers me with His peace and His love and His mercies each and every day. And I just praise Him for that. And I just want to share this other Bible verse. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. I mean, all these verses that just were given to me, and it was just unbelievable. And this Bible verse was in Monday night Bible study, and Trish had asked me to read it, and it was just amazing. It says, "Look to the Lord and His strength. Seek His face always." And I just thought about that picture of Christ that I had, and I thought, oh, wow, He's just telling me, just continue with what I've been doing, and everything will be fine. I have His strength, and I have all that He could ever give me to get me through. I also came across this. I won't read this whole psalm, but Psalm 136. Anybody wants to read it in their spare time because it's long. I'll just read it first. Give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. His love endures forever. And after each verse it says, His love endures forever. And I use that every single day also, or even during the night. I'm praying during the night. If I'm awake, if I can't sleep, my sleep habits have gotten a lot better, I have to say. The Lord has really helped me through that. But when I'm awake and I'm having trouble, like this week I had a little trouble again because of the testimony, trying to think and being very nervous about it. And I just felt the Lord just puts prayers in my heart. He puts verses in my heart. And I still have trouble repeating this one. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition with thanksgiving. Present your request to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. But I just feel that He really put so much in my path, and I know I was praying 24/7, and the Lord has truly healed me, and I thank Him, and I want to give Him the glory. And that's why I'm up here today, because I knew I couldn't disobey Him. He wanted me to do a testimony, and He knows how, and anybody who's known me over the years knows that it's not me up here, it's the Lord, and I give Him all the praise and glory. And I thank you all for listening to me. Thank you.
I invite you, give your hug to her and husband. Yeah, come. Come forward and give to him or her your hug. Come forward. Yeah. Give to her your hug with your heart. Down is there, better. Yeah, down. Yeah, down is better.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Together, come together. Yeah. Come.
And that is one of the greatest blessings that we've had for all these years, is our family here. This is a family that Jesus has
Yeah.
provided.
Thank God. Thank God. Yeah. Thank God. Maybe she is yours, right? Thank God. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Thank you, your host. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Right. Why you not come here? Come here, hug them. Yeah, you come. Yeah, give to them. Your hug. Yeah. Is this word of God? Yeah, is this word of God? Right, yeah. Good. Yeah. Thank you.
As a congregation, we're familiar with